But whenever I look at like the pictures with my grandma or my grandpa, it's just kind of, I mean, it's sad because, I mean, she's been gone for a while now, but we were close, and I like to think that, you know, she'd be proud of what I was doing today, and I often wonder if like she would have been willing to do an oral history about what happened to her in her life. I'm not entirely sure she would have, but maybe. She obviously wanted people to know what happened to her. I'm Oiye Coon. I'm the Archives Director at Densho. Densho is a nonprofit based in Seattle that focuses on the Japanese American incarceration and preservation of that story. It means a lot to me because it records the history of my own family too, since my family was incarcerated at Tule Lake during World War II. I think this might be a preschool picture. That's my aunt in the middle with the bow in her hair, I believe. It makes you realize just how young, like, there were babies in camp. There were infants born in camp. The living situations were not great. The barracks were, you know, they were barracks. You could see in these photos what they look like. They had very thin walls. At Tule Lake, there was a little added security. There was a stockade / prison there.
It was always just kind of known as the camp for troublemakers. There was a little bit more unrest after the loyalty questionnaire came out. Anybody who signed no on questions about will you forswear allegiance to Japan and will you serve in the military or go into the draft, and anybody who signed no to those ended up being sent to Tule Lake. My grandparents were there. My grandma was 20. She was just learning who she was. She has kids, so she's having health care in camps, childbirth in camps.
The doctor who was delivering my uncle pulled my uncle out of my grandma. Like, it wasn't a naturally occurring birth in that way. Yeah. So it's like the defining story that came out of the camps for my family, at least. As somebody who has also like had a kid and given birth, that sounds horrible for many reasons. All of the struggle of like trying to like keep an infant surviving in a camp experience. So this is my grandma's wedding obi. So an obi, if you're aware of traditional Japanese dress, usually, most people have seen them. So you wear the kimono, which is, you know, the robe part of it, and then the obi, I'm not gonna be able to do it, but the obi would be like wrapped around about here, and then it wraps around your waist, and then there would be an elaborate knot tied in the back, which is why there's so much fabric. I believe she likely wore this when she married my grandfather, which was actually in Japan. It was passed down, thankfully, and it somehow survived the war. I don't know if like having this made me more interested in history and family history, or if me already being interested in it makes this more meaningful to me. Actually, I have a tattoo of the duck on my arm. So that's how much it means to me. Yeah. Looking through photos or like holding my grandma's obi, right? It provides you with this connection.
We can't move forward if we don't understand like what happened in the past.
I consider us a community-based archives, so a lot of our materials come from Japanese American families who want to share their stories. They ship us their materials, whether it's like photos, documents, photo albums, that sort of thing, and we store them in here until we can get to scanning them, and then once we've scanned them, we ship them back, and so it's kind of like an ever-revolving room of collections. So this is the digital repository homepage from the website. We also have all of our oral histories available here as well. There's more and more push to have communities be able to preserve and tell their own stories these days. It's kind of from within, and the control of the way we preserve the stories and how we make them available kind of comes from within the community. Densho supports the Japanese American community, so we have this like sliver of history that we focus on. I think the more community-based organizations can put their history out there, I think people just around the country would be excited to hear about the different cultures.